welcome to another Florida-friendly educational program. Today, we are going to take the steps, the 9 principles of Florida-friendly landscaping and break them down into really, really simple steps that will be easy for anyone to follow. So welcome to Simple Steps to Follow Florida-Friendly Landscaping. I am Lilly Browning. I do work for Hernando County Utilities. I'm the Florida-Friendly Landscaping Program Coordinator here in Hernando County. If you would like to get a hold of me, email is usually the easiest and best way. And my email is LillyB, LILLYB, at hernandocounty.us. There are 2 L's in the middle. I did have somebody not able to get a hold of me because they were misspelling my name. Also, many county emails are the first initial last name, but lbrowning@hernandocounty.us. I tried to email myself and it bounces back. So it is LillyB. So remember that. And that is the type of emails they gave us prior to 2000. So it is really a badge of honor that I've stuck things out this long. So I am LillyB@hernandocounty.us. What I talk about Florida-friendly landscaping all of the time, every time you watch one of my programs. And I thought maybe you'd like some background since we are getting into really the basics here of Florida-friendly landscaping. So what is it? Where did it come from? How did it begin? Well, a very simple explanation is found on the Florida-friendly landscaping main website. It is the state of Florida's premier extension program that promotes sustainable alternatives to conventional landscaping, providing guidance on low impact, environmentally friendly, science-based landscape practices that use less water. That's how my program works well in water conservation here at Hernando County Utilities. And they reduce pollutant loading to Florida's waters. Since 1993, FFL, or Florida-Friendly Landscaping, has served Florida as a partnership between the University of Florida, that is our land-grant university, Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences at Extension, and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, as well as other agencies such as local water departments, such as in Hernando and Citrus County. Stephen Davis and I both work for our county water department. And also the Southwest Florida Water Management District, as well as the other water management districts in the state, are also partners in this program. So it's not something, I made up. It's not something localized to Hernando. And even there are programs like this all over the United States. I just looked up a few before we started this. So at the University of Georgia, don't ever try to look up University of Georgia and yards. All you're going to get is football information. So I had to change up a bit. They do have a program called Georgia Green Landscape Stewards Program, and it's an even more all-inclusive program than Florida-friendly landscaping. Clemson has Carolina Yards, which used to be Carolina Yards and Neighborhoods. Florida-friendly landscaping used to be Florida Yards and Neighborhoods. And what I've read about this Clemson program, they flat out took the information and the pattern from the University of Florida's program. And the Carolina Yards, they're covering both North and South Carolina. And University of Tennessee, don't start singing Rocky Top. They have something called Tennessee Smart Yards. I looked those up. They also have 9 principles. Some of them are exactly the same as ours. Some of them just have a little bit of different wording or in a little bit of different order. Speaking of the 9 principles, these can be utilized anywhere So if you happen to be listening from Washington State or Montana or Maine or Texas, you can take these types of principles and apply them to wherever you are. Now, what I teach is very conducive to Central Florida. And that's the type of information you're going to hear from me. But these principles, if you look around in different states and use words such as smart yards, water smart, stewardship, eco yards, you're going to find programs very much like this. But I would encourage you, the ones I listed to you are also sponsored by that state's extension program and their land grant university. So that's where you want to stay, so you don't fall into the rabbit hole of maybe ending up where someone is trying to sell you something or the information may not be research based. So these 9 principles, we're going to go over every one of them. And I'm just going to give you a couple, maybe 3 steps that you can take, because I know it can seem overwhelming. Even if you've just moved here, or maybe you recently retired and want to concentrate on your yard, or this is just a new project you want to undertake. And if you, try to get all this information, you may be overwhelmed. So today we are really being simplistic about it. So we're going to start with principle number 1, right plant, right place. That's the same principle from Tennessee's Smart Yards. I believe even Clemson's Carolina Yards, they have this as well. And I think we all know, if we think about it, that a plant that is put in the right conditions, in the right place, is going to be healthier, so that if problems come along, they can withstand them. If they are in the right light conditions, the right soil conditions, all of in the right zone. Our planting zone here in Hernando County is 9A, in case anybody is not aware of that. So how do we know right plant, right place? Maybe we just moved here. Here's one of the things you can do. You can get a hold of a Florida-friendly landscaping guide to plant selection and landscape design. Don't freak out by looking at this new book, because if you have this book, this is the new edition. I went up to Gainesville to get some. They did not give me very many. There's still not a whole lot in print. But you know what? You don't need to worry about it. If you have this book instead, or if you go somewhere and get a hold of this book instead, I've looked them over. This is a nice new edition, but it is not significantly different than the other one. So you do not have to think you are missing out on something if you don't have, the newest edition. It's pretty much the same. This may have some different formatting when you read some of the information, more white space, maybe a little easier on your eyes, but the information is pretty much the same. How do you get one of these? We'll get into that near the end if you don't already have one. They are free, and there are multiple ways to get a hold of one. There's also an app you can get, that is at the back of this page. You can go to fflplantguide.com, available on the Apple Store and Google Play, and actually have this book in a phone app. It's more like you don't have to download it. But you can use it when you're in the nursery and look up a certain plant, find out its needs. Assess your landscape before you really start with your new projects. Walk around, make a little design. It does not have to be fancy. Believe me, mine wouldn't be. And what conditions do you have? Write those down. Draw your house and draw the area around your house. And you can say, over here is sunny in the afternoon. This is really sandy here. This area holds water. Make note of all of those things. This is extremely shady over here. This gets morning sun, this gets afternoon sun. The first thing you might want to do before you even start planting is maybe remove some of the plants that aren't doing you any favors, that are invasive plants. We have classes on that. If you go to Hernando County Government YouTube, or if you go to my Florida Friendly, it's called Hernando FFL Facebook page, look for the class on invasive plants that Dr. Lester and I just did. Pretty darn invasive plants, that's what it's called. And you know, you can start to learn a lot from there, because you don't want those plants taking up the resources or crowding out your Florida friendly plants. Also, research those plants. Don't just go to the nursery and purchase something because it's pretty. That is extremely tempting, and we all want to do that, and we all fall for that. But so to consider right plant, right place, the steps I want you to take is get a hold of this book, or this book. This book is fine. Or the app, if that works best for you. Make an assessment, remove those invasive plants, and then before you go to the nursery, or even at the nursery, use that app, look up those plants. That one was pretty easy. Water efficiently. Here's the first step you can do. Right after this class, I want you to go to your garage and turn your irrigation system off if you are actually listening on August 31st, 2022. I had plenty of rain yesterday. I had plenty of rain before that. We don't need our lawns watered this week. Nature did it for us. So this time of year, really, if you just have it set on off and then turn it back on when it starts to get dry, we have fallen into the wrong attitude in our culture here in Central Florida. People move here and they are convinced by whomever that having an irrigation system is a must once you move into, you know, a Florida home. I don't have an irrigation system. I did, it was built into the house. I rarely used it. We put in an above ground pool and messed it up, killed it in the process. Don't care. I'm never going to use it again. Your lawn only needs 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of water per watering event. We got way more than that. Nature provided that yesterday and in the few days before. We've gotten into the wrong mindset that our irrigation system is a life support system for our Florida yard. And if it rains, great, that's extra. That's not the way it should be at all. Our yards should rely on natural rainfall. That should be its life source, with a little extra boost every now and again if you have a supplemental, that's the word, supplemental irrigation system. How can you figure out if you're putting out 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch? What did I mean by that? You'd be like, I don't know what that means. Tell me how long to put on each zone. I can't do that because there are so many different factors that play into it. But what you can do is get some tuna cans, cat food cans, even just some Gladware, some straight sided cans. Mark off with a Sharpie inside that 3.5, or I'm sorry, not 3.5 inches. No, that's about mowing. 3/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch. Put your ruler in there, mark that line. Put several of those around in each zone and run each zone for 15 minutes. You are allowed to check your zone as long as you're standing out there watching what's happening and you don't consider this a daily routine. How, turn it off after 15 minutes. Where is your water? Is it higher than that mark? Then bring it down. If it did it only fill it about halfway to that mark, set that zone for a half an hour. It's not rocket science, but it is a simple thing that you can do. And here, working for the water department, I promise you, if you've been watering, following the rules, once a week watering, but you do this, you're going to see a difference. You're going to see a difference in your consumption of water. Speaking of watering days, here are the watering days here in Hernando County. Some of the biggest misconception is if you have a private well, you can water as much as you want. That is not true. If you have a private well simply for irrigation, you still have to follow these watering restrictions. If you have a irrigation well that pulls water from a surface water near you, such as a lake or a creek or whatever, these watering restrictions still apply to you. The only question you need to ask yourself is, do I live in Hernando County? Then yes, these watering restrictions apply to you. Now, I was made aware this week, we were made aware of that there's a community with a newsletter, that's not uncommon. And they show these watering restrictions and they have them right as far as days. But here is where, see, there we go. Instead of the word or here, they have and. Well, that's could get you in some trouble because the word should be or. Before 8 a.m. or after 6 p.m. is when you're allowed to water on your watering day. You have to choose one of those times. And I can pretty much make you aware, our budget year in the county begins October 1st. The final budget has not been passed yet, so it's not a for sure thing. But what has been budgeted is a partnership between Hernando County Utilities and code enforcement to kind of share a couple code enforcement officers, new ones that are going to be hired. And do you know what their entire job will be? It'll be working for water conservation. It will be, they will be out there searching for the people breaking the rules. They will be out there on weekends and evenings. So make your neighbors aware of that. You have to be aware of the watering rules. Fertilizing appropriately, that is principle number 3. One of the easiest ways to do that here in Hernando County is to follow the Hernando County fertilizing ordinance, and I'm going to cover that and pretty exclusively in the next few slides. Before you decide it's just time on my calendar to fertilize, the University of Florida wants you to figure out why. What are you doing it for? Does your lawn or your yard need it? And one of the best ways to do that is to get a soil test. How do you do that? You can contact the county extension office. I'll have their information, I believe, at the end, or I'll give it to you at the end. And you can get a soil test. They give you little baggies and a form that you fill out for each baggie that you have filled out. And then you will mail it to the University of Florida's Soils Lab in Gainesville. It'll be $10 per sample. The sample is a conglomerate, all over your yard. And they will send you a copy, of their results from testing your soil. Your county extension office will get a copy of those results as well. So if you don't understand it, what they're trying to tell you, feel free to call your county extension office. If you're here in Hernando, you can call Dr. Lester and talk about it with him. The number will be on the form. Or if you call on Thursdays between 9 and 3, Master Gardener Bernie is usually there on phone duty. He loves to go over the soil tests with you. And you'll probably have a really good conversation with Bernie. And as always, with fertilization, the label is the law, just like with pesticides or herbicides. Follow that label. It's written down very scientifically, and it's also the law, how that product can be used in that manner. I mentioned a fertilizer ordinance here in Hernando County. Why is there one? Well, because Hernando County is in the heart of the largest concentration of springs in the world. Isn't that pretty amazing? Studies by the Southwest Florida Water Management District have shown that inorganic nitrogen levels in local springs have doubled since the 1920s. Studies have documented that one of the primary contributors of nitrogen is likely applied landscape fertilizers. Another contributor is faulty septic tanks. But when we're concentrating on the nitrogen from the fertilizers, the EPA said you have to do something about this, and you have to have a BMAP. And what is that? That's a basin management action plan. So as part of our basin management action plan, we have enacted this fertilizer ordinance, which says from January 1st to March 31st, homeowners are not allowed to apply nitrogen to their lawn. Couple of things. Yes, you can go to the store during that time to purchase it, because I'm not sure exactly all of the legal reasons, but the ordinance just wasn't strong enough to prohibit the stores from purchasing it. But some of the stores are cooperative and will at least put them way high up on the shelves. The reason we do it in the winter as compared to some of the southern counties that you'll hear about on the news that do it during the summer, obviously they do it during the summer because of the stormwater runoff carrying the fertilization away. When this happened in Hernando County, University of Florida consultants, turf experts were consulted, and they said, yes, there's a lot of rain and runoff in the summer, but the lawn takes in most of the fertilizer. It's able to utilize it. In the winter, your lawns, especially up here, are pretty dormant. Our lawns are dormant. They slough off a whole bunch of their roots. They are not taking up that fertilizer. And therefore, it is either washing away if we happen to have a rain, or it is just seeping through and ending up in the aquifer. That's why we chose those months. There has been talk off and on over the past several years. We know COVID slowed several things down in our government agencies about, why don't we do it in the summer when there's heavy rains? So I don't know what's going to happen. What I do know is if we do go to a blackout period, say June through September, we're not going to change it. We're not going to switch one for the other. So we'll just have more blackout periods. We'll have it January 1st through March 31st, which nobody needs to be fertilizing during that time frame anyway. And then maybe one day we'll have it in the summer months, but that has not happened as of today yet. You may say, but my neighbor's company comes out and put something down, all year long. There is an exemption for commercial applicators. They are allowed to apply fertilizers during that blackout period if they are trained and licensed with state green industry best management practices training, that they have a limited fertilizer license. By the way, by state law, they are not allowed to apply fertilizer to your yard without that limited fertilizer license provided by the state. And they can only apply slow release or controlled release nitrogen products. So that's what's happening there. But for everyone, professionals as well as us homeowners, part of the ordinance says that you shouldn't You're not allowed to fertilize when the National Weather Service issues hurricane or tropical storm watch or warning, or if heavy rain is expected. So that kind of limits our summertime fertilizing anyway. Also, you don't want to, part of the ordinance is telling you not to fertilize prior to seeding or sodding a site and for 30 days after. That new sod is so stressed out, the last thing it needs is fertilizer stressing it more. Give it some time to get adjusted before you encourage it to grow more. Also, if you are on a waterfront, you can't fertilize within 10 feet of the edge of any spring, pond, stream, lake, canal, or wetland without a deflector shield, or within 3 feet with, it says with or without, but with a deflector shield. You cannot, that's what the ordinance says. We like to encourage at Florida Friendly Landscaping that 10 feet. Just create a 10 feet, no maintenance zone around your waterway. And also and this is usually just law anywhere, you can't, no cut plant material can be deposited in the street. That's why you see a lot of the lawn guys blowing the grass clippings and stuff back into the yard. They're supposed to do that by law. We don't want it down our storm drains, not just because it can carry nitrogen, which it certainly can, but even as far as, a municipal water authority goes, it can clog up our systems, and that will cause problems for everyone. So you just make sure that only rain goes down the drain. I took this picture yesterday. We're having a nice heavy rain here at Hernando County Utilities. The other last one is if you have a fertilizer spill on an impervious surface, sweep it up, put it back in the original container, or sprinkle it back onto the lawn. Do not hose it down. All right, let's get back to the other principles. So mulch. The biggest thing I want you to do is not over mulch. Just, take it easy on the mulching. We see a whole lot of what we call volcano mulching. You can picture that in your head and see it, where they put a whole big old mound around trees. It's so bad, so bad for the trees. So many things can happen there. Its roots are going to start growing the wrong direction because it's not getting any oxygen. You could be either trapping moisture in there, causing fungal problems, or not letting it get any moisture because that volcano will act as an umbrella and just slough it off. 2 to 3 inches is all you need of mulch around any area. Avoid cypress mulch. There's something you can do, and you might say, why? It's not a matter of any harm it'll do to your yard. It will not do any harm to your yard. The harm is done to the environment. It is not a sustainable or ethical practice anymore to the ways in which they retrieve this cypress mulch for you. Basically, there's an industry that goes into the swamps, cuts down the very young trees, shreds them down to sell to mulch to you. That is not a sustainable practice. Even though it's the cheapest thing, you can buy, it's still not something we recommend as ethical or sustainable. So buy sustainable materials such as mulch. Pine, there, are pine plantations out there. It's a renewable resource. That is the biggest thing you want to look for, a renewable resource. Pine needles, even that hardwood mulch is usually just a mixture of, trees, various trees that were taken down for various reasons, products of the lumber industry. Can look for those. Even your yard materials, why not? That's the way it happens in the forest. So just use what nature gives you as mulch. And we also do not recommend rocks or rubber mulch. The purpose of mulch is to break down and to add nutrient holding and water holding capacity to your soil. Rocks are not going to do that. And here in Florida, would you rather walk? Well, here we're looking at a golf course, you know, here, would you rather walk over here on this grass or over here on these pavers at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in August? You're going to want to be where it's cooler. You know, rocks are very, very hot here. I love rocks. I'm a rock lover, but I use them decoratively and in moderation, you know, not as a mulch. And rubber mulch, it's just, you know, heavy metals, things like that. What is it leaching into the soil that we are concerned about, as well as the heat? So there's, you know, easy things to remember about mulch. Now, number 5, attract wildlife, which I'm always going to tell you is my favorite of the principles, attracting wildlife. So how are you going to start doing that? I'm going to give you some simple steps, and I'm starting a new campaign right now called 9 New Natives. This year, I want you to plant 9 new natives. If you go beyond that, fantastic, but I'm trying to make this simple for you and have attainable goals, simple steps. Throughout the course of the next 12 months, plant 9 new natives. Do you have to have all natives to have a Florida-friendly yard? No. Are natives going to attract more wildlife for you? Yes. So if this is your goal, just planting those 9 new natives are going to get you more wildlife. Another thing you can do is take one small section of lawn, maybe an area that just doesn't want to behave as a lawn, and make it a plant bed. Or take the plant bed you already have in front of your house, scooch it out another foot or 2. You know, just over time, and put in those native plants, those wildlife attracting plants. Simple steps that you can do. And please, please, please reduce your pesticide use. If you want the wildlife, if you want the critters, if you want the caterpillars, if you want the bumblebees, the gopher tortoises, and whatever, the birds, you can't have a poisoned yard and have these critters as well. Now, maybe sometimes, you know, if you have fire ants, other things that are just, you know, beyond your ability to handle them, then spot treat with the proper product in the proper timing, just where that area is. Broadcast throwing pesticides around your entire yard is not a wildlife friendly yard. It's just not. And Dr. Lester and I are working on a couple of programs. Last week we did part 1 of natural products for pest control. You can go to either my Facebook page or Hernando County Government YouTube to watch part 1. And part 2 we're coming up with on September 28th. And we talk a lot about how to properly use pesticides. And that's a segue right into managing those yard pests responsibly. What should you do to manage yard pests responsibly and have a Florida-friendly yard? Well, the first one is, when in doubt, don't treat it if you don't know what it is. First of all, because you may be putting chemicals out there that are not effective, and you just, you know, put chemicals out in the environment for no reason. Find out what the issue is before you try to treat it. You can always send me a picture. My email is here. Dr. Lester's email is wlester@ufl.edu. If I don't know, I'm gonna send it to him and he may send it on further to the university. But don't just treat, my mother, who's no longer with us, but she was a great gardener, but she was from a era where she was taught that just 7 is just the answer to everything. Just put 7 dust everywhere or 7 spray everywhere. It's just gonna fix whatever your problems is and everything else will work itself out. No, you could be killing our allies. There could be some friendly fire going on out there. We don't want to do that. So find out the best way to handle it. And you can do that by going out and scouting. Just go out, enjoy your yard, because small problems are so much easier to handle than big problems. And if you see these small critters like to congregate together when they're small, and they're going to turn into those humongous lubber grasshoppers that are green and red. And some people say these eat their entire yard. It goes back to what do you have and diversity of plant life. The people we've had saying these grasshoppers are eating my entire yard have all amaryllis or daylilies or some type of bulb plants that are their favorites. So, that goes back to having a diversity of plants so that the same insects don't want all of your plants. But you find them this size, brush them off. I use here's my huge cup here, but I'll use a disposable one. And because I'm addicted to drinking from straws, and I'll get one of these, have it full of soapy water, brush those guys in, put the lid on, let them, be taken care of in there, and then I'll throw it away later. That's, pretty easy way to take care of that. Or my second favorite thing to do is if I see a problem area, one sickly looking area in a plant, snip, throw away, gone. 99% of the time, that takes care of the problem if you catch it early. Now, principle number, which one is this? 6? 7. Recycle. There are many ways you can recycle in your yard. Collecting rainwater is one of them, one of the biggest ways to recycle. Start composting. Recycle your kitchen waste as well as outside materials, even shredded paper, coffee grounds and the filters, all of those things. You can also, the easiest thing you can start doing is when you're out mowing, let those clippings fly. Let them go back to the ground. The University of Florida says that if you do that, if you do not bag up your clippings, if you let them go back into the lawn, you can skip 1 fertilization a year. It's enough nitrogen in those little grass clippings to provide that for you. Really simple steps. Now, this picture of this rain barrel is not the kind you're going to get if you come to a rain barrel workshop. This is just a romanticized picture. I took it in Jamestown. I thought it was pretty, but it's not a good idea because there's no lid on it. So that could be a danger, a mosquito danger, as well as a danger to small animals or small children. So we do have rain barrel workshops, and here's the kind of rain barrel you're actually going to receive if you attend a rain barrel workshop. I hold 2 a month, 2 rain barrel workshops a month. You do have to be a Hernando County resident to get a rain barrel. This is what it looks like. The kit's on top of it here in this picture on the right. It's a 24 by 24 width and depth rain barrel, 3 feet high. It holds 55 gallons. Empty, it weighs 17 pounds. When it's full of water, it weighs 475.15 pounds. They are $65. That is our bulk price that we buy them for. So you can attend a workshop and pay the $65. Well, let me reword that. You can pay the $65 and attend a workshop. And if you are a customer, of Hernando County Utilities. Your first rain barrel, with it, you will get a $30 credit on your water bill. So, that it's a good deal there. And how do you find out how to attend a rain barrel workshop? You email LillyB at hernandocounty.us. I'll be glad to give you all the information. And here are the upcoming dates for September and October, in-person ones, as well as virtual workshops. How do virtual rain barrel workshops work? You attend the workshop in the evening via Zoom, and the next day I gave you a 2-hour window between 11 and 1 to come to a location to pick them up. That's how that works. Again, email me LillyB at hernandocounty.us if you are interested. If you are listening not from Hernando, or you are and you don't want to buy a rain barrel, but you want the information, Hernando County Government YouTube again, and go under my playlist, Florida Friendly Landscaping's playlist, look for recycling raindrops. You'll find basically the same information. You can watch that. Now, watching that though does not qualify you to be able to receive a rain barrel. You have to attend one of the live or virtual workshops for that. Reducing stormwater runoff, number 8. How can we do that? I took lots of pictures of stormwater runoff yesterday during the nice storm that we had here. Some of the ways is you can redirect storm drains to a plant bed or the lawn. We have been taught to send the water down the street to protect our houses. Well, we're trying to reteach. You're in Florida now, not saying you want the water to pour down into your foundation, but you don't have basements to worry about, number one. And we have pretty well-draining, fast-draining soil. So what you would want you to do is take that downspout, instead of sending it down your driveway, down the street, to join with other storm water runoff, to pick up those nitrogen, the pathogens, the sediments, all the pollution it's going to pick up and end up in the nearest waterway or seeping into the aquifer. What I want you to do is whatever water nature has given you, I want you to hoard it in your yard. And the only place I want it to go is down, back into our water savings account, which is our aquifer. So, pretty quick fixes if your downspouts are going down the driveway. Get some elbows, get something to redirect it. You can get those platforms that it lands on to kind of spread it out so you're not causing ruts. Send it into your lawn. Send it into a plant bed. Send it into a rain barrel as another thing to do. Send it into a rain garden. I just did classes on rain gardens as well, which you can find again on Hernando County Government YouTube. So just make sure as little water as humanly possible is coming off your roof and leaving your yard. Keep it in your yard. Hoard that water that nature has given you. And number 9 is protect the waterfront. And all of those other 8 have worked together to produce protecting the waterfront. Now, we talked about that chemical-free buffer that was in the fertilizer ordinance, and Florida Friendly Landscaping recommends that 10 feet chemical-free zone within, all the way around a body of water. And install native plants in that area. And we have a vocabulary word today, in case you didn't know. That area around the body of water is called the Rip-Rarian Zone. Isn't that fun to say? the Rip-Rarian Zone, which is why, especially in other states, more northern states, you see around a lot of the creeks and things, just rocks, tons and tons and tons of rocks. They call that rip-rap, because it's put in the Rip-Rarian Zone to help reduce erosion. So we want to put some native plants there. That's going to attract wildlife. It's going to absorb and filter out some pollutants that might try to find its way to the water. And if you have an opportunity that you need to replace a seawall, it is much better because of the energy of the water, you know, that hits up against the seawall there. It is much better to have a more natural edge with aquatic, native aquatic plants, and then you can have a little estuary there and, you know, just be more environmentally friendly. If you don't live on the water, first of all, everyone in Florida lives on the water because I just mentioned that aquifer. We're all on top of the water. But if you don't live near a surface body of water or on a surface body of water here in Florida, when you fly out of the Tampa airport and you look down, what do you see? I'm not even talking about the bay, but everything else, water, 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 water. We have so much water that, you know, we could walk out of our house and walk no more than 10 minutes probably and find a body of water. So therefore, the pollutants that might start on our roof, you know, the storm water that starts on our roof and goes down and goes through the neighborhood, it's going to easily find its way to a body of water. So we are all responsible for following all these principles and protecting our Florida waters. I've added 2 more principles. These are the Lilly additions to the Florida friendly principles. And one of them is embracing nature. Insects are part of nature. Lizards, frogs, snakes are all part of nature. It all works together. I'm not a reptilian expert, so therefore I apologize if this lizard is an invasive species that I took a picture of here, but he's a good model right now. He was in my sister's yard. We live in Florida and there are lots of critters around us, and it's normally all part of, you know, it's all part of nature. It all works together. It all balances out. I saw a meme on Facebook that says, you know, you're a Floridian if you go on vacation and start to miss your lanai lizards. You know, there are still people who think, ew, I don't want those things. I only want the pretty things. It all works together. We've got to have it all. And the same thing with weeds. There are many weeds out there that really are native wildflowers, and they are food for butterflies and bees, unless it's an invasive plant. So embrace everything, embrace all of it together. And also embrace imperfection. It's a long and winding road sometimes to be able to do it, and we're going to have failures. Plants are going to die. I mean, I can't tell you how many plants I've had that died. I don't bother to get upset about it. I don't think it's a personal failure on my part because this plant didn't make it. Also, I have that wonderful compost bin out back, so it is still going to have a second life and maybe get back, you know, to my yard at some point. I just took a leadership training series of reading a book together with other county employees from John Maxwell, and he told a story of how a rocket going to the moon gets off course 90% of the time. And all the engineers are working on getting it back on course on its way to the moon almost all of that time. So, fail your way to the moon, fail your way to Florida friendly landscaping. You got the trajectory going and there's, no good way to stop. So keep it going, knowing you're going to get off course, knowing you're going to have failures, but just keep failing your way to Florida friendly landscaping, doing these little steps. Each step each one of us does is beneficial to our environment. So just keep going down that long and winding road and fail your way to Florida friendly landscaping. It's all going to turn out just great. So here are upcoming classes that we have. I'll be not working for the next couple of weeks, but I will be back on September 21st with Master Gardener Bernie. He's a favorite of many people. He's a 17-year Master Gardener. He's been doing phone duty every Thursday, all but a year and a half of that. And we know what time that was. That was the COVID lockdown time. He has gained a whole lot of knowledge. So we're going to have turf talk with Bernie. On the 28th, as I said, Dr. Lester and I will continue part 2 of a look at natural products for pest control. And then our October classes, at the beginning of October the 5th, I'm going to have fall flower power, all the great plants and things we can grow to have our own version of fall color. Now I will have an in-person class at the Spring Hill Library on October 12th at 2:30 in the afternoon on storms and trees. I also just posted the YouTube version of that on my Facebook page with all those little blobs out there in the Caribbean in case, you want to watch it and get some good ideas. October 19th, let freedom lawns spring. What's a freedom lawn? It's free from worry. It's free from chemicals. It's free from perfection. That's really what it is. And at the end of October, creepy crawlies, the cryptic lives of Florida bugs. I think we'll have a lot of fun with those classes. Every Thursday, in case you are not aware, Dr. Lester at the Extension office has a virtual plant clinic with Dr. Bill, and I am his co-host. It's every Thursday at 10 o'clock. Here are the links to be able to jump on, or you can go to either one of our Facebook pages and you can throw questions at us from the chat, all impromptu, and we'll try to answer them as best as we can. Dr. Lester won't be there tomorrow. He's at an extension professionals conference. So I will, as the co-host, I will be hosting, and I'll have Bernie with me. So that Master Gardener Bernie will be helping me out. I will send all the hard questions to him. And I also hope to have Brittany Hall-Sharf. She's the seed grant agent with Hernando County Extension. There's a coastal cleanup coming in a couple weeks that she wants to talk about, as well as some of her other projects. She's got, Sea Grant, Florida Friendly Landscaping, Protect the Waterfront. It all works together. If you'd like a PDF copy of this program, so you have all these links and everything, just email me. I'll be glad to send it to you. And here's some more resources, as well as the many places where you can get a hold of one of these books, the Florida Friendly Landscaping Guide. The Extension office, their number is 352-754-4433. Pick one up there. You can pick one up at their nursery. There's a link from which you can order one from SwiftMud, and they will mail it to your house for free, or you can download it, or you can get that app that I referred to as well. And again, here's my Facebook page and YouTube, Hernando County Government YouTube. Lots of classes to watch on there. And let me see what the chat says. Oh, yes, thank you, Bobby. Here again is my email, LillyB, LILLYB @HernandoCounty.us. And thank you for joining us today. We're right at an hour. We're doing really well. And I hope everyone has a beautiful and Florida-friendly week. We will see you again.